It says we're being live streamed and I'm agreeing to it.
You do.
Yay! Happy Monday.
Monday. Just another magic Monday.
Happy Monday.
You mocking you.
Yay! Happy Monday. We're here. We're alive. We're so happy to be here. August 1st. We're right in that Lionsgate energy. So much fun.
Yeah. Happy Monday. Happy August 1st. We've got some fun topics today. And this topic is relevant for anyone and everyone everywhere, always. And it's the topic of cut and run. How do you know when it's time to close a chapter, when your energy is no longer aligning with a particular path and purpose that you were once on? How do you recognize it? How do you shift? How do you move forward quickly so that you're staying in the flow of infinite intelligence? That's what we're talking about today.
It's so good. It's so good. And you're so good at this. So it can be really confusing. And I think as we go into this, we can like clarify points around it. And we were talking because the information, this came through really strong last week, right? For Sophia Mystery School. And then Tori messaged and said, maybe this would be a good topic because she had some friends, and Megan goes, yeah, it's definitely the energy of cut and run. Maybe Michelle has a better way to explain it. And I actually love the cut and run. I love calling it the cut and run.
Yeah, when to call it quits and that sort of thing. And some of the nuanced frequencies at play there, right? Like the difference between commitment and rigidity, the difference between shiny object syndrome and going with the flow and following what is easy and graceful, right? And this is why it just isn't. It's all about the nuance. And that's something that we talked about last week too, that mastery is in the details. Right. And so when we think of cut and run, we get to look at all of these intricate frequencies at play. Like I just said, are we being committed or are we being rigid? Are we following flow or are we getting distracted because we're not fully committed? Right.
Yeah. I think it's so good because, like you said, the difference between commitment and being rigid or being following the flow or the shiny object syndrome. And I think there's some like real subtle differences there. The shiny object syndrome is, I want to speak into that because it's not following flow. It's actually disconnecting from your flow and like looking for your power outside of you. The shiny is like, oh, well, that didn't work. So maybe this will work. That didn't really work. So maybe this will work. And constantly looking outside going, what will work for me?
Yeah. And that piece of shiny object syndrome is also a quick hit of excitement, right? It's a fresh idea. It's oh, that's going to be better than where I am right here, right now. And so just to lay some groundwork so you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. And then of course you can apply this to your life, whether it's relationship or it's business or it's personal. It's so relevant. And one thing that we were practicing last week was shifting, right? Shifting from something that we had committed to doing, which was walking between worlds, and deciding that walking between worlds and Trinity no longer had a place within the Sophia Mystery School as of right now. And what that takes as a business owner, as a super conscious creator, of what does it take to actually allow a particular reality, because us doing walking between worlds or Trinity is a particular reality in which we are living in. So allowing that to dissolve so that the new could be born, could be built, could be realized, could be claimed, and all of the pieces that go along with that. Now, before we were who we are today, I think what could have come up quite easily is, oh, well, did we fail? right? Did we fail because we didn't have enough enrollments that had us saying, okay, this is in alignment to go forward, right? So instead of going in and making it personal, oh, there's no one said yes, or not enough people are in, or no one wants what we have to offer. We didn't make up shit stories that slow you down and then have you want to prove something. It was, this isn't feeling great, right? This does not feel like our next level. Actually, this feels like holding on to something in the past, and staying in it is an ego distraction. Oh, but I have a goal to hit. I made a declaration. Who am I if I don't fulfill that declaration?
Yeah.
And that is, now insert cut and run.
Well, I want to add a couple of things, because you said something that there was a word that you left out when we decide to let something go so that we can create the new, or to blah, 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 blah. You said all the great words except for allow the new to be revealed, because that was a decision both of us, in discussing walking between worlds. It was like, well, if it's not walking between worlds, we're not quite sure what it is. And you had said, if we let this go, it will be revealed to us. So we didn't have the answer before letting it go. And that is such an important piece.
That is such an important piece. And it is a power play to be willing to say, I am ready for the answer to be revealed to me after I let this go. And most people are in power play of, well, I'll let this go if I know that there's proof that something better is coming. The universe would show me that. Otherwise, I need to stay committed to this. And that actually is rigid, right? Do it my way or no way.
Yeah.
And that's all ego, right? That is the ego running the boat.
From fear.
From fear.
From fear. Because how many times we've heard people say, well, if it's meant to be, and that's such an old story. If it's meant to be, then I'll be shown the way, right? I'll see the way. But here's the thing, like with walking between worlds, you and I, even during our last walking between worlds experience, well, when we first came up with it, I said, I feel like this is our sole purpose project, is presenting this information this way and taking our clients through this process, which we absolutely loved. And we're like, oh, we're definitely going to do walking between worlds again, right? Because we loved it so much. We loved the process so much. Yeah. And so making the offer and not getting the response that we anticipated was kind of like
said that we should get.
Exactly. Then it was like, but something happened between walking between worlds at the end of our last walking between worlds. And this moment is that you and I expanded and transformed in so many different ways that when we created walking between worlds, it was literally because we were walking between worlds, living this spiritual experience in the 3D. And now we're in a whole different space. It clicked. It's like, we're not walking between worlds anymore. We are in a higher dimension.
Yeah. And I don't want them to lose focus that we didn't know that before we decided to cut walking between worlds and Trinity membership, right? It wasn't this aha moment that said, oh, that's why we shouldn't do walking between worlds. It was a walking between worlds no longer aligns. We don't know the fuck why or what is next. And we can powerfully and courageously cut it and allow for the new to be revealed. And this is all, we just recently had, we lost some big money in an investment. And that was a cut and run that we didn't go, okay, let's cut and run. It was a done. And then we cut and run from the emotional turmoil of it.
Yeah.
So your power is in how quickly can you shift? How quickly can you shift and not make it about you? Right? So none of it was, oh, what is the spiritual meaning of me losing this investment? Oh, what is this here to teach me? Instead, it is, I am ready for whatever is to be revealed because of this experience. And it means nothing about who I am. Right? My intuition did not lead me astray. This is not happening to me. It's happening through me and for me. Right? And this is the same with walking between worlds when we decided to cut and run. Oh, this isn't aligning anymore. We choose to see what's next without having the proof. And this is the difference between an extraordinary life and a slow, boring, stuck life.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
People who say that they are stuck or not much is happening, they're in this space, they're unable to cut and run or make what seems to be unfavorable circumstances not about them. Instead, they like to make it about them, right? And what have I done here? What can I do better? What one shift can I make? It would be that courageously moved to the next step.
yes, yes. It's so key not to make the stories up about, oh, I failed. Like you said, nobody wants what I'm offering. That used to be my story, right? It's definitely a story that can come up. But we totally just let that go and moved into, where am I being led? Where am I being led? Yeah, it's so much we could say, like you said, oh, my intuition was wrong. And a great example for that is when you decided to start your coaching business or your sales business, your consulting business, going from the preschool, owning a preschool, to your consulting business. You made the decision, and within 2 hours, your teachers quit. Right? The preschool. They didn't even know what was going on. We weren't even in the same town. And you could have said, oh, my intuition was wrong. I shouldn't have done this. This was wrong. And I think that's so important into understanding when things crumble, it's not because there's anything wrong. It's because there's something new coming.
Yeah. And here's what's really interesting about that story is years later, I was sharing that story, talking about quantum shifts, right? When you energetically commit to a new reality, the old one must crumble. There is no option. It must crumble. So people are always like, oh, I want this new reality. Da, da, da. Wait, why is everything crumbling? This is chaos. I'm so scared. Never mind. I'll hold on to the old. Right. And so I was using that example of how the old gets to dissolve so that the new can be fully embodied and embraced. And I use that example often, and even you just used it. But I think back to a couple of years after that happened, using that as an example, I had a boyfriend at the time who said, I don't think that you should share that story because what does it say about you if all your teachers quit? Right? And so right there is someone who is unable to not make the stories about them, right? Of, I must be a horrible boss. I must be terrible at running business. I had 3 people consecutively quit all at the same time, So how often do you make it a story about you that now holds you captive? Right. Oh, it means this about me, so I can't courageously move forward.
Right. I can't become who I want to become because what will people think?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you look someplace in your life right now and see where it is actually time to cut and run, where staying committed is actually you being either rigid or trying to blackmail the universe into giving you proof?
That's true.
Commitment, or are you just rigid and demanding proof?
Right, right. I would like to take just a couple minutes. I know we've been going 15 minutes here, but just a couple minutes to talk about the difference between the shiny object syndrome, right? And knowing when to let something go. Can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah. So shiny object syndrome in my experience is the opposite of commitment, because when something isn't going according to your humanness, you find something new to get excited about, right? So oftentimes when we've committed to something and the high of a new beginning or a new vision wears off, and you're left with the details or the human action steps, and maybe you're not at a point of return or results yet, we can go, not only am I not getting the return or results, but now that inspired feeling has faded. Oh, I'll go do this now because look, this, I feel inspired about this and I'm excited about that. And then I can forget about me not performing over here, right? And so shiny object syndrome is distraction, it is procrastination, and it is hoping that the next shiny object will give you that quick sense of accomplishment and result. And when it doesn't, you go to the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then pretty soon you have a pretty full energetic sphere of unfinished business that now feels like chaos.
That is so good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That was so clear. It was excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's definitely like, it gives you the shiny object, gives you a new sense of hope.
Yeah. And we are mind, body, soul. So there is an actual chemical response to when you think of something new that lights you up. You've got endorphins going, right? You're so excited, and that pulls you through for a little while, right? But then we get to learn how to work our intuitive muscle that helps guide us through every single step, not just the inspiration, right? The inspiration and that good feeling is yes, it is intuition that came through that gave you a chemical romance to get a romance, a chemical
kind of is,
right? That gives you a boost forward, right? And then the practice becomes, how do I continue down this path without that constant endorphin hit, right? Without that constant excitement hit. And that's where your soul purpose, your mission, your connection to infinite intelligence really pulls through. And that's something that motivation can't do, right? Because motivation wanes, inspiration wanes. Really what you have is your connection to infinite intelligence. It's also that connection to infinite intelligence that let us know, oh, now is a time to cut, right? Now is the time to cut and run and move on to what is next. Now we know what's next, and it is fucking amazing. It is so badass that we couldn't have actually conceived it while still holding on to walking between worlds, right? If we're like, well, let's see what we can think of later before we let this go. We had to be willing to have none, right? We had to be willing for it to not be either, for us to be truly wide open to download what is next.
Yeah. It was so, I love the way you said that. We had to let walking between worlds go, because letting that go completely, then we were able to go just dive in and fall into, well, what is next, right? Instead of being distracted by filling a program.
Yes. And on top of being willing to let that go, not just being willing, but actually letting it go, letting people know, hey, we're not doing it, reaching out to the people that did enroll and all of that, right? We did all of that, and we didn't make it about us, right? Like I have a new one-on-one client, this will you, that said, and she has a very solid email list, maybe 7,000 or 8,000 in her audience. And she said, I just don't think that anyone on my list is the ideal audience. And it was really funny because I heard that like a couple times that week. And I was like this, like it had nothing to do with the audience, but that is a story about you, right? If we go there, that is a story about me. Oh, no one in that audience wants anything of what I'm offering. It's the audience or it's what I'm offering. It's not. It's being willing to let go of what was to embrace what's new. They couldn't even hear what was new because we couldn't talk about what was new, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is twofold. It is letting it go and then not making up stories about who you are around it.
And that story that is typical, and it even shows up in my list isn't compatible or doesn't want what I have, is the bottom line story that is I am not enough. I am not enough. That's the bottom line. So it's releasing that I am not enough story to follow where your soul is leading you. And we can't hear our soul if we're caught up in the I'm not enough story.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good. Is this landing for you all? What's coming up around this? Do you have a place in your life right now where you're like, yeah, this calls for a cut and run without a story about myself in it? Oh, I'm looking here.
Yeah, I'm trying to see the let's see. Can you see the comments?
Yep. Yep. Most people just saying, I so have that story, Mark says. Melissa is watching. Hello, hello. Diana is here.
And Erna.
Diana, and sometimes isn't it not at this time? Typically not, Diana. Typically not. No, not at this time is procrastination. It's an excuse to not take action. Walking between worlds, which we were moving towards, was not not at this time. Just wait until it comes back. It was this is not it anymore. It's something all new. You wouldn't have a desire for something. And see, this is we had a desire, but walking between worlds was no longer it, right? Now that realization was underneath the being busy with the offer, with the calls. But when we paused and said, something is energetically off here, it's not time, right? The time is now, all the time is always right now. So not the right time, it's an illusion, it doesn't exist. Not the right time is not real. It is always only right now. But it was there, this energy no longer aligns, and it is the next level. Walking between worlds was profound, and the next is even more profound. It was time to offer a level of mastery and not walking between two worlds. Instead, it's full mastery. So great question. And yeah, really great question, because lots of times that's just another way, Diana, of saying divine timing. And divine timing is an illusion, because we are divine and time is an illusion.
Right. Right. And a lot of when we're saying this isn't the time, it's another way of saying I'm not ready. I'm not enough. I'm not enough yet. The time will be right when I feel like I'm enough.
Yeah.
Right. And everything that you do, just like walking between worlds, that gave us that led us to the next step, which leads us to the next step, which leads us to the next step. Being stuck is saying now's not the right time. That's what gets you stuck.
Exactly. And for all those who watch that, maybe it looks like we've got it all figured out into the future. We don't. We're just courageous enough to walk moment to moment without demanding what the future looks like. And what that has allowed is expansion and safety and financial freedom and joy and trust.
Yes.
Right. So I think sometimes it's easy to look at people who are being able to create their reality quite effortlessly and enjoyably and think, oh, they know what their next step is. They know what their long-term plan is. And that just isn't the case. We are living day by day, moment by moment, intuitive inkling by intuitive inkling.
True that. And it's so fun.
It is so fun.
That is fun. All right.
A great Magic Monday.
We think so. We hope you do too. Yeah, we hope it was fun. Thank you all for tuning in a couple weeks ago. We have a list of suggestions and we will be going through them and doing those topics that you have recommended. We totally appreciate that. And before we jump off, I want to remind you that you can register for the Lionsgate activation, which will happen 1 week from today. There's mastery codes coming in. We are at our next level of ascension, and there's all kinds of amazing codes coming through. That's all I know. Other than that, it comes intuitively. So thank you, Megan, for sharing your incredible wisdom and support today.
Thanks for being here, Mom.
My pleasure. See you all next time.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.